Oromo Voice Radio English program. Oromo Voice Radio is broadcasting to Oromia at 16-meter band or 17,850 kilohertz or on oromovoice.org website. OVR broadcasts Oromia Insight program every Monday for 15 minutes at 7:15 p.m. Oromia local time. Welcome to Oromia Insight program.
Welcome to Oromia Insight. My name is Ali Galato. This is part 2 interview with Professor Hamdesa about Obama visit, state terrorism, and the Oromo struggle.
It was the military government in Ethiopia that gave weapons to the Somalis in the east and to overthrow Siad Barre. The government in Ethiopia, successive regimes, always wanted to have a weak Somalia because the Somalis claim territory in Ethiopia, the Ogaden, which Emperor Haile Selassie negotiated with the French, with the British to get that territory. Therefore, successive regimes in Ethiopia always wanted to have a weak government in Somalia, weak state. And then Madda Walaabuu, the former prime minister of the TPLF, was very successful in this, playing shrewd games, dividing groups along clan lines. And then after the whole system collapsed, completely collapsed, and there was chaos, and there was a conflict, starvation, there was a new group emerged in Somalia, Justice Court, Islamic-based Justice Court ruling by Islamic laws. Madda Walaabuu, the Prime Minister in Addis Ababa, invaded Somalia. So when he invaded, there is this history of hostility toward Ethiopia by Somalis. Some groups say, the heck with you, so we are going to seek support from Al-Qaeda. Then Al-Qaeda also grabbed their relationship. And then when we have a new situation now. So for every event that happens in the Horn of Africa now, the Ethiopian government has this card. If you don't support us, Al-Shabaab is going to hit you. If you don't support us, Al-Qaeda is going to do this. So President Obama, his president, the people before president before him, they bought this argument. Therefore, what you have is a vicious circle. The very group that creates chaos in Somalia now pretends itself to be the savior, the provider of security in the region, to protect the interests of the West, including the United States, particularly of the United States. This is the connection between the two important events.
So the Ethiopia terrorizing the people, whether it's through identity or through religion or other means, it is state terrorism. How do you explain the situation in Ethiopia?
Okay, first of all, I teach a graduate course on terrorism, okay? First of all, the definition of terrorism. Simply stated, terrorism is defined as when a particular power targets civilians to create fear, okay? It is attacking civilians indiscriminately for the purpose of creating fear. That's a basic definition. The confusion we have is sometimes in the public arena, when people talk about terrorism, they confuse two issues. They confuse the issue of morality, killing innocent people is bad, and then they also confuse the issue of terrorism, the idea of creating fear. But terrorism is also caused by state systems, like in Syria. In Syria now, for a long time, the president of Syria, Assad, has been creating terrorism in order to stay to power. Terrorism, essentially, you attack a civilian population, soft target, to create fear. You have opposition, you target them, and to create fear. So it's kind of interesting. The recent election in Ethiopia, there were commentators, outside of Ethiopia commentators, observed that one gentleman said that he had never seen such a fear as he saw in Ethiopia anywhere in Africa. Such a fear. So, the form of terrorism is, if anybody says, I want basic right, they will be killed, they will be put in jail. Then not only that, since they belong to non-Tigrayan ethnic group, they will buy some groups against them, and they terrorize them. So they use people against people. So therefore, once you divide a particular population, people cannot trust each other. Therefore, they are always living in fear. If I say this, they are going to tell the government. It's kind of interesting. Somebody reported when Obama gave a speech to African Union, there was somebody he gave a speech. A student reportedly said, "I was afraid of clapping my hands because I was not sure who's going to watch me." That is the essence of terrorism. The population is terrorized and forced, and since they don't have any other options, since if they don't for the government, they may lose their jobs, their children may be targeted, therefore they give up. And the Soviet Union ruled for 80 years in this form. Places like East Germany ruled in this way for 40 years, using family against family, friends against friends, and then you create atmosphere of fear so the people cannot trust anybody. They cannot express themselves. So Ethiopia is a terrorist organization, a terrorist state. Finally, also historically, there are more people killed by the state in the name of security than the actual non-government terrorists. I repeat, historically, there are more people killed by the state, by the government, than those who are being killed by anti-government forces. So that is the essence of terrorism. So the government in Ethiopia is a terrorist agency.
So the cynical side of President Obama, why visit Ethiopia when thousands of people are in jail, this state where there will never be fair and free election and the people are terrorized?
I have not talked to him. I don't think he will talk to me. Therefore, I don't know. I don't know. I'm nobody to him. People like me, little guys, nobody to people like him. I think my best analysis from far away is this. He's the first African-American president. His father is from Africa. I think somebody told him, or he himself told, maybe as a president, he needs to visit this state, Kenya. He needs to visit African Union. So it seems to me, for me, this is for the history book record. And of all things, the most offensive thing was for him to stand beside Haile Mariam Desalegn. Haile Mariam Desalegn was in charge of the South, or there was a Hawassa massacre. This is a killer, okay? He stands beside him that we don't want this government to be overthrown by people who are not elected. This is officially elected, democratically elected government. This is the most offensive things. You know, let me say about Obama. I have been enamored. I admired him from the day he wanted to run. He's a brilliant man. He has shown good intentions. He has good judgment. And I think he has done great things for the United States. However, let me just give you, when he gave that eulogy at the AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, I was in Portland, Oregon for vacation. And I knew he was going to speak, so I got up in the morning, so I watched on TV. And he gave this brilliant speech, eulogy. He weaved in history, theology, theory, and the Confederate flag, the oppression in the South. Then he completed his eulogy by singing The Amazing Grace. I cried several times. I was moved by his speech. I also thought in my heart, will there be a day when somebody can speak for our people back home in this manner? And I never thought he would visit Ethiopia, stand beside Haile Mariam, and then declare that this government is officially elected. I thought that was a terrible history. So to the question, your question, I think this was done for history books. I don't think he got any benefit out of it. It was disgrace, and I think now for me, Obama is just another politician.
How should Oromo respond to the declaration of war against their basic interests?
Here is the big issue for Oromos. You and I know, the Oromos went through dramas over the last 2 decades. Okay? The conflict was between those who say we want to stay in Ethiopia, those who want to say we want to be independent Ethiopia. And then out of these dramas, one group organized themselves, the ODF, Oromo Democratic Front, and they want to go home to Ethiopia to participate in democracy, all of that stuff. They took all that risk, all that propaganda in a very unique way, in a very dramatic way. The TPLF, the Tigray Liberation Front government, kicked them out. They would not even allow them to enter the city. They kept them out there at the airport and finally said, you have to leave. So that road is gone now. Nobody can think that road realistically. I always knew, I always argued, I've all written, I've spoken about it. That is, it is not possible to democratize Ethiopia under this condition. In order to make a difference in Ethiopia, you need to have enough power to make a difference. You have to leverage power. To do that, you have to organize yourself. You have to be united. You have to really sit down and think hard about your predicament, the predicament of society. If any time is important, this is the most important time in my view. Therefore now the Oromos have 2 choices. One is you work hard, you become united, you create systems of resistance. Different ways. There are different ways of doing this. Or you give up and look the other way, oppression goes on. And these are the 2 choices Oromos have. Now, I myself have spent my best years of my life trying to help Oromos to present their case at international level. All the things I have worked for, all the things I have lived for, all of them crumbled because of the OLF conflict with the Oromo Liberation Front. The past is past. There is a saying in Oromo language. There's no use of crying for the spilled milk. The spilled milk is gone. You have to lift up, you have to pick up the packet and then work with what you have, what is left over. I think there is more left from the crisis in Oromo. There is still a lot of potential. This is the Oromos have to think now. The so-called intellectuals, the corrupt branch, the so-called Liberation Front, completely corrupt bunch. This is a time where an average Oromo has to sit down and think. This is a time you have to organize at grassroots level, between individual, between community and community. It is a long road. So the choices are you either look the other way, the oppression goes on. Or you organize yourself like the Kurds, like the Palestinians, then you tell your stories. You show your sufferings. You reveal your sufferings. You tell the world about your sufferings. The Oromos have never been able to do that.
We are about to run out of time. Finally, is Oromo Ethiopia? If not, why Oromo care about Ethiopia in the first place?
But the problem is the Palestinians cannot ignore talking about Israel, the Israeli government, the Zionist state, okay? Because they are occupied. The Kurds cannot stop talking about Arabs in Iraq and then the Turks in Turkey because they are occupied. Therefore, Oromos have to relate to the Ethiopian or the Abyssinian or the Habasha community in those terms. It's not useful to say that Ethiopia does not exist. It exists. But it is useful to say that we are oppressed, we are not Ethiopians, we are Oromos, we are colonized people. History shows us, experience shows us, we cannot run away from there. So therefore, currently what the Oromo needs to do is learn from other groups, the Palestinians, the Kurds, other oppressed groups. Oromos are not the only oppressed. Therefore, the problem with Oromo movement is ignorance, and the lack of vision, a lack of determination. These have to be reversed.
Wow, that's very interesting. Thank you, Professor, for coming and sharing your experience. I hope we will come and have another discussion on different topics. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me.